It's definitely been the worst used car decision of my life. Alright guys, welcome to another video. I am in Florida now, but rather than going straight to Miami Beach or something like most people would, I had to go straight to a Mercedes-Benz dealership because, well, if you watched the previous videos, you probably already know that I am the unfortunate owner of a Mercedes R-Class, which is definitely not the most reliable car in the world, but well, this time the news wasn't too bad. I just had to buy this AdBlue diesel fluid because these crappy diesels, what happens is that they have this fluid in the trunk which, if it runs out, it's for emissions, but if it runs out, the car doesn't start and it basically, dies on the side of the road or something. Or it doesn't die on the side of the road, but it just doesn't start up and it leaves you stranded somewhere. So that's why I had to go fill this up. But after this, there's a CarMax nearby and I wanted to take this car to CarMax, seeing what type of value I can get for this car, because if you watched the previous videos, this car has been an absolute nightmare in the past 2 months. I've only owned it for the past 2 months, and yeah, the amount of trouble this car has given me in the past 2 months, it's been by far the worst, most unreliable car I've ever owned. So yeah, let's take it to CarMax, see what type of value I can get for the car. Alright, first things first, let's start off by filling the AdBlue and hope that the stupid diesel light goes away. So for filling AdBlue, there's this little tank in the trunk that you have to get to, and then you basically have to fill in that diesel fluid in this tank, and if that is the thing that's low, then hopefully that light on the dash should go away and the car shouldn't die on me in the middle of the road. This fluid smells like crap, by the way. Make sure not to spill anything inside your car if you're filling one of these, or not on your hands either. So while I was on my way to CarMax, there's another problem in the car already. Now the warning light says low beam right, and I looked at the low beam in the reflection of another car, and it actually does seem like the low beam is not working. So I already replaced the headlights on this car, so I hope it's not the ballast this time that actually powers the headlight, because I think that's even more expensive. Okay, so we're finally here at CarMax, and well, the car is definitely not in such a good condition to show to anyone, but still I'm going to try to ask them like what they think about the car, because half the car is filled with tools and Peter's dirty laundry and oranges and everything else that he's bought. But anyways, talking about what I'm expecting for this car, well, first talking about what I've paid for this car. I didn't pay money for this car directly. I actually traded in another car, a CL55, which was actually a pretty clean CL55, and I kind of regret trading that in. But the thing was that the CL55, I couldn't have used it as a tow car, so that's why it had to go, and I had to buy something more practical instead. But talking about the value of the CL55, I think it was worth probably more than 13,000, or well, I was getting offers off more than 13,000 on that car, so I could have sold it for 13,000 cash, which definitely would have been the better decision to do, and use that money to buy literally anything else other than an R-Class. But I traded that car in for this car, and but the guy did pay me $1,000 over that. So let's say if the R-Class if the CL was worth $12,000, $13,000, then this car would be worth $12,000. That's Canadian dollars, by the way. So in US dollars, it would come down to like $10,000. So, but after that, I have spent quite a bit of money on this car. So yeah, all things considered, I think if I get a value of 10,000 US dollars on this car today, I'm definitely gonna trade it in. I'm definitely gonna sell it. So let's see what type of value I get. Wow, look at the type of cars that come here. This car is completely smashed. I think the R-Class is definitely better than this one, so I'm gonna try not to film too much inside, because then they might think it's a prank or something and they might not give me the best value for the car. Okay, so I went inside and talked to the guys, and as I kind of expected, they didn't do a proper appraisal for me, because they said in order to properly appraise the car and buy it, they will need the car to be, it's a Canadian car, so they will need the car to be transferred to the States. I'll need to call those guys and ask them what the process is of like importing a Canadian car to the States and then selling it over here. The only rough estimate I have of the value right now, they told me to look up the Kelly's Blue Book value, and they said that the value should be somewhere close to that, and the value on that was around $10,000, which is kind of what I expected too. But the thing is that it's a tricky decision right now. Like I'm not sure if it's worth going through the whole hassle of importing the car to the States and then going back to CarMax and then seeing if they even offer me $10,000 when they actually look at the real car and they see whether it's actually worth that much or not. So as if things couldn't get any worse for this car, there's another message that just came up on the dash. It says AdBlue remaining starts 16. That means that there's definitely a problem in the AdBlue system. Even though I've added fluid and I've checked there is fluid in the system, the level sensor for some reason is not detecting any fluid, which is probably just the broken level sensor. But this means that I only have 16 starts left, and after that the car will not start again anymore. Well, I still have to drive this car all the way from Florida to Canada, and 16 starts, I'm not even sure if it's even going to get me to Canada now. So update to my situation, after talking to the DMV and looking into my options for selling this stupid R-Class, after looking into everything, I think the chances of selling this R-Class over here in Florida and the hopes of leaving to Canada in a better car are looking really slim, because just to tell you the process, what I'll need to do is that I will need to import the R-Class into the States, which means paying import tax on it, and then selling it to CarMax or whoever I sell it to, and then buy another car. And the problem with that is if I buy another car here in the States, by the time I get to Canada, I'll need to pay import tax on that car again. So the whole process is going to be way more expensive than if I just drive the car straight to Canada and sell it over there and buy another car over there. Now the problem with that is that Canadian used cars are extremely crappy. They're all winter driven, and yeah, they're all basically crap. A Florida car would be a lot better, but then yeah, the thing is that it's too much tax to pay, and the whole process is a bit too long, and I'm not even sure if I have that much time here in Florida to do all that. So that's all fine, but the other problem is that even getting this car to Canada in the first place is going to be a really challenging thing, because the car has had another problem in the short time of making this video. The level sensor, the AdBlue level sensor, well, that's actually where the video started, adding AdBlue to this stupid car in the first place. But it seems like there's another problem in that system. It's even after adding the fluid, the car is not detecting any fluid in the tank, even though there is fluid in the tank, and I checked, the fluid is at a pretty high level, more than halfway. The car is just not detecting fluid because the level sensor that detects level in the AdBlue tank is the thing that's not working. It's not detecting any level, which means that I only have 15 starts at this point left on this car. That means that I will somehow need to get this car to Canada with only starting it 16 times, because after 16 starts the car is not going to start anymore. It is just going to leave me stranded on a gas station or something, and that is going to be it. Now the replacement cost for that level sensor over here, if I just drive the car to a Mercedes-Benz dealership and try to get it over here, is about $2,000. That's just for the part, and the labor is going to be on top of that, whatever they charge me for labor. So it's definitely not a cheap repair. So yeah, that's the situation for now, and don't even ask me why they made the system like that. The system is, this whole car is literally designed to kill you. Like, why would anyone like make a system like this where a level sensor fails and the car stops in the middle of the road and then you can't even get it home? So just to quickly sum up my 2-month ownership experience with the R350 in the short time I have owned it, I've put a list together of all the parts that I've needed to replace and how much it costs replacing all of these. Now the list is pretty long, so I'll try to go through it really quickly. So starting off with all the things that I had to replace on the car even before starting the road trip when the car was still in Canada. So in Canada, before registering a car, you have to take it for a safety inspection and make it pass safety. So these are all the things that I had to replace on the car just to make the car pass safety. There was an AdBlue temperature sensor in the trunk that needed to be changed because there was a check engine light on the dash because of that. There was a broken steering column, so this whole parking thing and this thing was flopping around, which is why they said the car is not safe to drive like that. And the whole thing, you can say that that might have been the previous owner's fault, but after looking into it, it was a small piece of magnesium on the steering column that was broken. It was a really crappy design, but luckily I was able to fix that, so that was free. There was nothing spent on that. There was a wheel speed sensor that was not working, which is why the ABS light was on. That had to be replaced. The car needed an alignment, and also the glow plugs, diesel glow plugs on the stupid engine needed to be replaced. So all that, it was $1,000 spent just for the car to pass safety, to get on the road. Now I've rounded all these prices down, by the way, but I've rounded them to the lower point, not to the higher point. So in reality I did spend a bit more money on this anyways, so whatever, that's just to make the calculations easier. But anyways, after that, spending a good $1,000 on the car, I thought maybe the car is all safe and good to go on a long road trip now. But little did I know that was just the beginning of all these issues, because after that, if you watched the previous video when I was driving this car to California, there was a whole bunch of issues, and it was a absolute nightmare driving this car to California. So it started off with the airbags. The airmatic suspension stopped working, so the airbags and the air pump had to be replaced because the airbags had a leak in them and the air pump completely stopped working by the time the car got to California. there were a few fuses that had to be replaced because these auxiliary charging ports in the car stopped working, because of which we couldn't charge our cell phones. That's something I didn't mention in the video, but that's another thing that happened. It was just a cheap $5 to replace, so that's not something major. But there was another wheel speed sensor that failed on the way, which is why on the way the car would randomly hit the brakes. It was a really weird issue, but it was down to another wheel speed sensor that was failing. So that had to be replaced. There were a few light bulbs on the car that stopped working on the way, including the headlight bulb, a few other bulbs, and yeah, in total that cost around $200, which is still not the end of the issue, because there's still another light that came on the dash that said low beam not working in the making of this video, and now the light has gone away and the headlight is working again, so that might be some other issue that's coming along, which I don't know what it is, but yeah, I'll need to find out. After that, there was a tire that bubbled up. Now, I'm not sure that was something that was from before that they didn't catch in the safety inspection, but anyways, yeah, the tire was pretty cracked up and it needed a replacement, so that tire was replaced, and I also did an oil change while I was over there. Now, for this one, I've put the cost at $300, even though actually it was more, but whatever, it's whatever it is. So in total, yeah, I've spent $2,300 on the car so far. That's only the price of the parts. This does not include any labor, or does not include any tools that I had to buy to fix all these things along the way. So in reality, yeah, I've spent close to $2,600. That is US dollars, by the way, in the short 2 months that I've owned this car. And of course, the thing is that that's not even the end of the issues, because in the short time of making this video, the car already has had so many more issues that I still need to fix. So yeah, what can I even say? This has been the most horrible car I've ever owned. Like, these are just all the issues that I've had in 2 months. Imagine owning this car for a year. The E55, you might say, was a bad used car decision, because I spent a lot of money on that too, but at least that car at the end of the day was a really fun car. I got to enjoy it on a lot of track days, and even after the car blew the engine and destroyed itself, I got to turn it into something that was more than amazing, the E55 ASL. What I'm going to turn this car into if it blows an engine? A freaking stupid R350 ASL that probably throws diesel on the track and stops working after every 2 laps. So yeah, I don't even know what to say about this car right now. It's definitely been the worst used car decision of my life. Let's hope this car actually gets back to Canada, and I don't know, I don't even know what to do from there. Anyways, that's gonna be everything for this video. Let me know what you guys think I should do with this car, whether I should try to sell it in Canada, what other car I should buy after selling this one, or whether I should just burn this car to the ground after getting to Canada, which is literally what I feel like doing. But yeah, that's gonna be everything for now. Thanks for watching, and if I make it to the next video, I will see you guys then.